people had a hard time pigeonholing Collective Soul as whatever that sound, what our sound was, because we have so many different influences, and we kind of know how to go at them all.
What's up, everybody? It's Keefy at GhostCultMag.com, and I am thrilled to be once again joined by Will Turpin of Collective Soul. How are you doing today?
Good, man. How are you?
I'm so good. Thank you so much. I'm super stoked. We're on the eve of Here to Eternity, the new album. We spoke a year ago about all the fun, awesome things that were going to be happening for the band in 24 and 25, and now it's coming true.
I actually told the truth.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. You sure did. I liked it. No, it was a great interview. We talked about a lot of things, the history of the band, and just kind of touring and all things, and a lot of Will things. Will bass, Will in the studio, and Will solo albums. So all these things have kind of come to pass. A few things have yet to happen, but I think it's a good time for the band. A lot of positivity and forward momentum.
Yeah, it's pretty wild. I'm obviously saying 30-year anniversary a lot, and that just doesn't sound real. We set out. We wanted to be known for our music, and we wanted to support the songs, and we wanted the songs to be bigger than the band and live on forever. And I think we did that. So I guess 30 years is just another day at the office, man.
Well, especially in the music industry, what further proof of success do you need that we're still here doing it at a high level, at a quality level after a very long time? So, first of all, to keep a band going is hard. And then the business is we talked about it. I say this all the time, at the highest levels, touring is hard, recording is hard, existing is hard. So it's just hard. It's hard to make music professionally these days. A lot has changed. I remember reading Pulse magazine from Tower Records talking about how many records Hints sold in a week that first, when the band started to take off and Shine hit at radio. And it was like, look at this band and what they're doing off of, just a few good years. So it's I'm thankful you guys have been around and still killing it. I love this new album.
Yeah, cheers, man. The Here to Eternity, super. We're super proud of it. Really strong record. And going back to the beginning, it's the strength of the songs, and Ed's songwriting is certainly leading the charge with all of that, and the reason why we're still around, really.
Muted myself. Absolutely right. I agree, man. Ed is so killer. Back in the producer's chair again. Also, I think I know you're the studio owner as well, Ed. We got that whole beautiful history of Ed's relationship with your family and the studio and how you met. And yeah, man, I think if it ain't broke, don't break it. You guys know what makes Collective Soul sound like Collective Soul.
Yeah, it's like it's not calculated so much, but we know the moment when we're tapping into something that's providing the right essence for whatever song we're working on. And it starts. Our concept is to start like a band. We record like a band, and rhythm section, especially rhythm section wise, drums and bass happen. Those are going to happen live while we're playing together in the room together. So we start with those concepts, and then we just try to, again, going back 30 years to when we were kids, we had that studio acumen. All of us did, because of my father's studio. And we wanted to support the song, and that's still happening today. And like I said, we go about it by acting like a band and recording like a band.
Right on. It shows. And again, like you said, it's a deep album, man. It's not a short record.
Yeah.
It's got a lot of substance, and there's no skips. I listened to it a few times. I was like, man, this is perfect. I like the whole range. It kind of shows the range of the whole band's history too at the same time, like a weird ungreatest hits, but really cool.
Yeah, it does kind of scan a lot of different, Collective Soul was always one of those bands too, where sure, we told everybody we're a rock band, and we, use that in a very general term. But, going back way back, even to the 90s, people had a hard time pigeonholing Collective Soul as whatever that sound, what our sound was, because we have so many different influences, and we kind of know how to go at them all. And speaking of those influences, even on this record, I think Matter of Fact was one of my favorite songs, but it's really the first time we actually got to kind of we're actually a swing band a little bit. There's a little bit of a throwback to just the swinging era. We were in Palm Springs. It's got a little Elvis vibe to me in the vocal, maybe a little Stray Cats kind of swing to it. You know what I mean? And that is as many influences as many different styles as Collective Soul has done over 30 years. I think that might be the first time we've actually been a swing band, so to speak.
Hey, you guys only missed the trend by about 25, 30 years, the swing trend. But
and if there's another trend that Collective Soul has, we don't follow trends. We just do what we like.
Of course, and I'm the guy. I saw Big Bad Voodoo Daddy and also Slayer 100 times. So like I'm that dude. Yeah, that is a standout track. There's a lot of, like I said, a lot of depth and variety. I love let's talk about Palm Springs for a second, because that's a real inspired choice. First of all, I didn't know records could even be made there anymore. I figured it would be like a museum piece, like a destination, like Electric Ladyland, which still is running, by the way. I've been.
Yeah.
And so tell us about Palm Springs and how that choice was made, and then any, specific things about it, if you can.
I mean, that's simple. The choice for Palm Springs was because we knew a friend of a friend. We knew the owner of Elvis's Palm Springs house. He had bought it in disrepair, and no one had. It was a bit of a time capsule. No one had touched it or done anything since Elvis had been there. So everything that Elvis designed was still in that house. I don't care if it was the pink tiles in the master bedroom that Priscilla designed, or the red carpet in his bedroom, or it was all still there. The same carpet he walked on. We just brought, it wasn't a studio, so we bought gear in a world where a lot of the stuff's done on hard drives and software. We bought in a few rolling racks of gear, and then brought in our instruments, and ran wires from the main living room to we made the engineer's booth basically Lisa Marie's bedroom. It was the closest bedroom to the big room. So we were set up in the main living room that kind of looked right out into the pool, and had a landscape backdrop, a Palm Springs landscape backdrop. So super inspiring. Still had the RCA tiles on the ceiling that RCA installed, because Elvis did record some vocals there for a couple of records. He recorded some vocals in that room. I imagine there wasn't a studio there. I bet they ran the wires right out to the front of the house to probably a mobile studio in that era. So yeah, I don't know exactly how they did that, but it wasn't a studio. It was a house. So the moment we knew that we had a connection, or 1 degree away from Elvis's actual house that was still a time capsule and still a little bit in disrepair. A couple of the bathrooms weren't working, and those leaks in the roof. But as soon as we knew that, the idea for Collective Soul was, well, we got to get in there and record a record. It's Elvis Presley's Palm Springs estate, So it took us about 2 to 3 years to make that happen. But man, what a great time. We got to spend the whole month in Palm Springs. We lived together as a band. We woke up together, went to the restaurants and bars together, and recorded together like a band. And that's how you do it, man. That's how you come up with a product that sounds like a band.
I'm not even sure there's a lot of bands at this level, at this, stage of your career, that could even still do like cool hang, commune like that. Like that seems so out of the ordinary for today. And I think it's very cool to put yourself back in a mindset, catch some inspiration. Elvis made a lot of inspirational music, not just, like everybody that starts out as a teen idol or a hit making artist, they get like, you're less important or less serious than, somebody else. But like, over the history of his career, Elvis put down a body of work. I'm a fan of the Graceland era and the churchy era, I like to call it. And then of course people, Vegas is out there too, but that's amazing. And yeah, it must have been, like, again, you said, very inspirational.
Yeah, it was. It was every day, man. We didn't have a problem getting in the groove and figuring out, where we're going to go with the music.
Did any new songs develop at the house, or was everything kind of pre-planned and demoed already?
Yeah. A number of them happened at the house. It's hard for me to remember, but a lot of the stuff happened on the spot. Jesse had a good story that he reminded me of, a song, Let It Flow. Ed had just barely showed us the idea of the verse riff, and me and Johnny and Jesse got in there and just started working on it at the end of a day. we had already recorded another song, so we were kind of assuming we were done for the day, and we started ripping and riffing on "Let It Flow," and we found something. I think we recorded the bassist. We went ahead and said, "Okay, well let's go ahead and start this song." I think we recorded the guts of that tune right after that. I can't remember details, but like I said, Jesse reminded me of that one. So I think, I think that when we recorded that night and had 2 songs in one day done.
That's amazing. Prolific guys. I also love the Bob Dylan "Where Are You Today" song that it's kind of live. It sounds like it's live. Why that? Do you know why that was chosen instead of a studio take?
Yeah, because it was something we did on an entire tour after COVID. We came out and Ed had this, not necessarily a protest song, but he wanted to write like a socio-political kind of vibe, and he didn't really know how to do it. So his inspiration went to ask the main question, Bob Dylan, where are you today? Because and he performed that live all tour that summer, and it became kind of just an inspirational. We'd sit on the side stage and watch Ed go for it, and that actual performance that's on the record was from the Ryman there in Nashville. So there's a lot of history there as well. So I mean, it's either recorded in Elvis's Palm Springs house or the Ryman in Nashville. Two pretty cool spots.
You could do a lot worse for an anecdote about where you made music.
Right.
Really, really good stuff. Obviously, there's specific things I would ask Ed if I ever got to chat with him again. Again, we said many times, it's like, yeah, I'm sure for you, knowing him a long time, it's nothing. But I think like to an outsider to like hear how he works, what have you learned from Ed, whether it's this album or just, historically, what have you guys learned from each other?
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to put the details because we've known each other so long, and he's definitely worn on me, and hopefully there's a little bit of that going back his way too. Hope he's learned a little bit from me over the years. But man, just watching, even before Collective Soul, Ed's 7.5 years, 8.5 years older than the original guys. We were watching him work on his songwriting, his craft in my father's studio for years. So even before Collective Soul, I was watching the guy work, work at what you do. There's nothing easy, and even when you get signed to a record label, that's just when the work starts. But yeah, man, I think lyrically, it's I don't think his lyrics are so good that I don't think you necessarily learn, but because you can't just learn and all of a sudden be a lyricist like he is. But I think lyrically, I've definitely grown by being around Ed.
Right on. You have your own recent, your own new solo music coming out, and again, pretty prolific by yourself. So, how do you balance kind of obviously you fit in the Will solo stuff when you get a chance around the band, right?
Yeah, yeah. I sit behind a piano and stuff comes out on a good day. Good stuff comes out. But yeah, man, I'm working on a list right now to make a second record. Working on the song choices and what I'm going to put out there and finish some lyrics. Hopefully that'll make it go quicker. Usually it takes me about 1.5 years to finish a record. So I'm trying to do a lot of pre-planning since I've been down these paths before. But yeah, hopefully I'll record in the fall and be able to put it out maybe next year, maybe this time next year.
Right on. And of course, as expected, busy schedule probably on the road this year to promote the new record, Here to Eternity. I love getting to talk to you. It's been a pleasure as usual. Once again, I do love that there's a bunch of as expected. There's always some very cool bass stuff going on. There's a couple of songs that start on the bass, and I don't know if that was if they're written by design or sometimes you just have a cool riff that like let's start that on the bass. I'm sure those choices change from record to record, but there's definitely some standout stuff on here.
Yeah, cheers, man. I think Bluer Than Blue. That was just that starts out with drum and bass, and that was just one of those things where it's like, how are we going to start this song? And I was like, well, me and Johnny, everybody else is doing something else right now. Me and Johnny started figure out a way to start the song. And I thought that ended up really cool, the way we start the song with drum and bass. Yeah. And just really, really proud of what we did as a band. And I appreciate it, man. I'm glad some of those bass riffs are sticking out to you.
Absolutely. Again, as a retired bassist, I also know like bass doesn't have to just follow the guitar. You serve a whole other purpose in a band if you're a good bassist. When not to play is as important as when to play, I like to say.
Yeah, the space is just as important as filling up the space. And yeah, there's I think there's moments to be in sync or more linear and just support the chords and just support the guitar rhythms. And then there's moments where the bass should be its own thing and do its own thing. I think I'll go back to Let It Flow. The bass line doesn't really. I mean, it's in the same key signature, but it doesn't have anything to do with the guitar part. Yeah.
This is more of a side issue for me. So yeah, man. Yeah, I always feel like the bassist. We're still kind of like memes are made about bassists. We don't get enough props. There was a really
Well,
funny.
it could be worse. We could be drummers.
Oh, well, drummers, are cool and they get the chicks, or the dudes, or the theys and thems. But the thing with
It just
drums
seems
is,
like there's more memes about drummers, but bass is number two, right
yeah,
behind number two with
the
making fun of musicians.
the drummers explode and the bassists disappear. Where's the bass guy? I don't know. He just disappeared, man. I don't know where he is. But yeah, also we seem to get denigrated a little too much. I feel like bass is the glue, man. You need that good bass.
Well, do we need to go down the list of people that? Let's go down the list here. Mr. Geddy Lee, Mr. Paul McCartney, goes by the name of Sting, John Paul Jones. I mean, all these guys are they're tying the room together, and none of those songs are anything without those bass lines that are tying the rhythm section with melody and harmony of the songs.
Right on. I'm a huge Phil Lynott fan from Thin Lizzy. Also sang and played bass. Like
Yep.
Getty and Sting, super hard. Paul also. Paul is so lights out, man. It's crazy. We talked a lot
He's
about
lights out, man. That's my
we
favorite. But yeah,
I know we talked about some Beatles stuff last time. This is interesting too. So this past weekend was Record Store Day, all over the world, and Dosage came out with an anniversary edition, which of course was sold out at my record store because that was on my list to get. But I went back and I re-listened to it, and I was like, man, this record, it's got the hits, right? But it still holds up, and it's a killer record.
thanks, bro. Yeah, that was another example of us going away and acting like a band. We lived in Miami for over a month and recorded at one of our favorite spots, Criteria Studios. And that was the fourth record that was released in late '98, pre-Christmas '98. We were signed in '94. That was our fourth record in 5 years. And for me, Dosage in that moment, after the progression of the four records, to me, after Dosage, I was like, okay, yeah, now we've got those four records provide you with something super substantial as a band. And I felt like we had reached a certain plateau after we had released that record. I felt like that record was so strong that there was there was a certain plateau that the band had met that I was proud of. And then of course we were always thinking about how to move forward and what was next. But that felt good to put a stamp on the career with that record, Dosage.
Right on, and songs like Heavy still in the set today, thankfully, because I love that song. I love that. I
Oh
remember
yeah.
when I heard it on the radio, I was like, oh, this is great. I'm so glad they're back. And that's always you want that. You want to hear that. You want to do that. I have to, on the eve of a record coming out as we record today, of course, I'm sure there's kind of like a satisfaction at the end of the process. Like now the record's finished. It's about to come out. We're going to do the cycle again, go tour and promote it and other things like this interview. And I'm sure it's got to be a bit invigorating. I feel bad if anybody gets to this part of the process and they're not thrilled. You'd be sad.
No, man, you nailed it, man. And I don't know if you've done that a lot in your life, but you nailed it because right now it's like you're still super, super excited about the record and even listening to the record a lot. Once it gets released, you don't, as a band member, I don't listen to it a lot. But right now, I'm still got on the plane yesterday. What was I listening to? Here to Eternity. I was listening to our record. And if you ask me about 4 months from now, I probably, once it's out, I feel like it's out there and I don't listen to it quite as much. But right now it's a super proud moment. And we're getting super psyched with ideas about the tour. Hey, we got to mention who the tour's with. It's a 30-year anniversary tour for Collective Soul, but we're on tour with Hootie and the Blowfish and Edwin McCain. And you're talking about friends from the South. They're both from South Carolina, and everybody was signed to Atlantic Records 30 years ago in 1994. So it's pretty awesome to know all these people that long, and all of us are still out being professionals on a good day.
3 hit-making bands that also had very impactful debut records, or the debut that we all got to know. And yeah, man, that's crazy. I'm feeling
Crazy. We're all on Atlantic also.
I'm feeling very all on Atlantic, who was also had STP, preeminent, historical label, Led Zeppelin and Queen. I'm gonna meme myself for a second. I'm a music journalist, so of course I was a bassist in a bunch of bands with only 1 record. So like, have your worst, do your worst, internet, with that one. I'm a retired band guy. I'm a journalist. Speaking of nostalgia, and here will be a good place to tie it off. Of course, we got 30 years of Woodstock '94 and 25 years of Woodstock '99, and I'm sure I was at both. And I remember the band at both. The highlight of '94 one on a night, and then I never shut up about seeing Collective Soul and Seven Dust just whip ass back to back on that South stage at Woodstock '99 when it was still cool and a good time, partially. And for everybody, you guys sort of the highlight for me, one of them. And it's just crazy that we're getting to these milestone times where these things have. Tick off these check boxes, the things that have happened.
Yeah, we were Seven Dust are friends of ours from Atlanta. A little bit different sound musically or sonically, little harder than us. But man, we've always been great friends with those guys, and we were all stoked that we were going back to back on that stage in 1999. So I think actually, sometimes your peers bring the best out in you, and I think knowing that Seven Dust was sharing the stage with us, and we were back to back. I think that stoked us. I think that stoked both bands a little bit. That was super fun. And then you mentioned '94 on that Friday night. It was prior to the rains. It was just beautiful and gorgeous out. You could not see the end of humanity. It was, they didn't have a track on exactly how many people were there. There was no less than all the estimates say there was no less than 350,000 people out there, But yeah, that Friday night was definitely the loudest the entire crowd was. When we played Shine, that was the loudest the crowd sang in unison. And it was, again, a beautiful Friday night where there was a lot of brand new artists played that night with their first records. Sheryl Crow, Live played that night, but it was their second record. I think Throwing Copper had just been released, which was their second record. Blues Traveler played that night, their first record. Candlebox played that night. A bunch of friends that people that we still know today and still tour with. That Friday night of '94 was great.
It was magical, man. I got to tell you, it wasn't just the drugs. It was a really good time.
You didn't need the drugs that night.
You really didn't. I definitely fell in the mud. I was like, I'm not going to get muddy. Right in the mud. Fell right in the mud, face first. I still have the short. I have the shorts somewhere. I don't think they fit me. The denim jorts. I don't think they fit anymore, but they're still like stained from the mud. It's cool. And those were great times, man. And you guys, it was a really interesting arc. You could draw a line in from the beginning of really like the beginning of where Shine started to really just explode, and MTV and things. And then '99, where you guys are an established band about to drop your 4th record, which is just insane and great all at the same time.
Yeah, it's been good. Both of those were awesome.
Yeah, man. Well, I love chopping it up with you, man. Congratulations on Here to Eternity and everything else you got going on with the studio. We're excited about all the projects you have working on. I'd love to chat with you again sometime, and I appreciate you hanging out with Ghost Cult. Yeah, man. I'm here whenever. I enjoy it as well, buddy. Don't tease me. I'll hold you to that. I'll hit up the PR. Come on, man. You can tell I think I'm trying to do a call out to people about the Woodstocks, because I think we're going to build some content, like a retrospective on each, and I just haven't got there yet, but I'm polling people. Hey, man, I knew you were there. Dude who was here for 2 of them. So. That's right. I appreciate you, man. Thanks so much. Have a great day. Cheers, man. Appreciate you. Later, buddy.